What's up? Today is my recording day. I haven't really recorded stuff in a while, but I want to make sure that I get out as much information as possible in this one day since I have the house to myself and stuff like that. But anyway, with that being said, this video is going to be about why you should be vegan or plant-based or whatever you want to call it, because it's all just words for and phrases for something called health. Now, in reality, what we have going on nowadays is a psychological infiltration, basically. A lot of indigenous people have been influencing the main culture to be more health-based and health-conscious. So we're questioning a lot of the routines that we usually do in mainstream culture, such as eating. Now, eating is one of the most important things that you do every day. And in the culture that we've been raised in, there's certain habits that we formed with this thing that we do every day that we don't really question. And that I'm gonna give you a couple of examples of that. The first example is eating breakfast. A lot of us wake up in the morning and the first thing that's on our mind is either technology or or food. And both of these things are breakfast for us. We might only see breakfast as food, but the information and the light and pretty much overall the energy that you're taking in through your phone is just as much food as something that you're putting in your mouth. So when you wake up in the morning, it's very important to keep your phone away from you for the first hour that you're awake at least. And secondly, it's also very important that we do not eat any food at all. I mean, you might be able to drink some water, and that's it. Maybe like a warm or a room table glass of water in the morning. But before that, it's really important for you not to to have breakfast, because we don't understand that the most important thing in our body is oxygen and blood. And oxygen is important for your blood. The reason you breathe is for your blood and for your circadian rhythm, which is pretty much very dependent upon your heart, which is dependent upon pumping blood. So with that being said, you have no way to escape the importance of your blood circulation. Now, the amount of blood that you have in your body has to be balanced with everything else going on in your body, like your weight, your how much you breathe, how fast your heart is going, the amount of energy your body is used to you exerting on a daily basis. And that energy that energy in your blood can only go to certain places at certain times, and most of the time it's on a schedule. So we are on the schedule of waking up in the morning, eating food. So what this does is it tells your brain, hey, you don't need blood right now to help gain your consciousness and be able to be conscious and aware of the things that is going to be happening throughout your day. No, you don't need to do that, because your phone has already fed you all the consciousness you need for the day. And then as soon as that's over with, you wake up and then you go eat something. And when that happens, you telling your body, hey, all the blood in your body needs to fucking go to your stomach to digest the food that you just took in right now. So with that being said, you might be thinking that when you eat food, you get energy. That's only if the food or whatever you're intaking has a lot of good nutrients in it, so it can electrify your body, because you are an electric being. You are an electric being. So with that being said, the blood and the energy in your blood, when it's forced to be focused on your stomach, and it takes about 7 to 6 hours or 4 hours for something to be fully digested. So with that being said, a lot of the stuff that we eat for breakfast is starchy food. So that's going to take even longer for that shit to break down, really. And in reality, that is taking away energy from your legs, from your mind, from your vision, from your heart, from your muscles. So everything about you is now being slowed down, because it doesn't have the blood circulation to go to your muscles to make you be able to help you be able to do better things. Now, you might be thinking, oh shit, I know people who eat hella breakfast and they swole as fuck and they look healthy and they are 10 times healthier than me, and I don't eat breakfast. And with that being said, you have to understand that that person's heart is being so abused by the fact that it has to push out blood. I mean, it has to push out oxygen and blood to your muscles in a limited base, and it's being over exhausted because you're forcing yourself to work out when the blood is just not there to support that. So you'll get the burn that you want to feel, but that burn that you're feeling is your muscles ripping. Now, when it's time for your muscles to be regenerated, then your muscles are not going to be able to do that because the blood is still in your stomach. The blood is still in your pancreas, your kidney, your liver, all these things which are focused on cleansing your blood and supplying your blood with the nutrients it needs to be able to regenerate the muscles. It's still in your stomach right now. So stop that shit. Stop it, bro. Don't think that just because somebody's taking protein powders and they wake up in the morning and they get their protein shake that they're actually healthier than you, and you don't eat breakfast. It's better for you to eat nothing in the morning than it is for you to eat breakfast. Anyway, moving on to the next subject, which is beyond the breakfast shit. The next thing that we had to focus on with the plant-based thing and veganism is the fact that no matter what you say, the reason that you should be plant-based and the reason that you should be vegan or vegetarian or whatever you want to call it, whatever stage you're at, your goal should be to be 100% plant-based. That doesn't mean your shit got to be raw. Fuck all that shit. Plant-based is the most healthiest shit. You feel me? Why am I saying this? Every other diet on the planet is nothing but is based off of a culture of destruction. That means that it came from a civilization that was based off of, you feel me, things that weren't meant for that culture and civilization to be sustainable. That's simple right there. It's already been proven that countries and civilizations that are more vegetarian and vegan based and plant based, they are the most sustainable and regenerative civilizations ever. What does that mean? That means that even if they go and have a war and they lose the war, the civilization is still able to be sustained and not be completely invaded and taken over by the opposing force. Why is this, bro? That's important, bro, because of the fact that when we sit back and think about it, a lot of us have been taught that, from a very young age too, we have been taught that you are superior to animals. You are superior to animals, and animals are, you feel me, meant for you to be eaten. And I agree, some animals were genetically modified or grafted over time to be eaten specifically by humans. And I would say to you that shit is not healthy. And when I say healthy, I mean relatively. Because a lot of us see it like this. Because our bodies and our DNA and our blood and our DNA has stored ways for us to not be killed by taking in these poisonous foods and substances, we assume that it's okay for us to continue doing it. But you don't understand that what's happening is a degeneration process. Over time, your DNA is shifting from being told, hey, I know I'm one with nature. I am not foreign and alienated on this planet. I am connected to the whole universe through something called ether and melanin and emotion and feelings. You're going from this, your DNA is storing this energy and this frequency, and it's going away from that over time the more and more that you become animal-based, basically. And what does that mean? The reason that your goal should be to be plant-based and nothing else, meaning, you feel me, even if it comes down to it, you shouldn't even fucking skin a sheep, in my opinion. And why am I saying stuff like this? Why am I saying, now, I myself, I'm not into fabric yet, But so I don't know what fabrics come from certain animals. So that's why I don't say I'm a vegan. I'm still plant-based. But in my opinion, if I was the dictator of a civilization, I would make it illegal to harm any animal to do anything to any animal that is not already dead. You cannot kill an animal. You can't even I would make it illegal for you to quote unquote put an animal out of its misery, man. And the reason I say that is this. Or unless the animal harms you. The reason I say that is this. That is the only way to truly withhold the balance of the power of the human mind. Once the ego has been fed something that makes it superior to its environment, then the destruction of the civilization has been put in place. Now, when you think about it, most animals always help a civilization run because Mother Nature put that animal in that environment to do a specific job. Now, for a human to come through and assume that that specific job can be replaced with human activity is a mental illness, because when that happens, you have to force people to do stuff that Mother Nature didn't intend them to do, which 9 times out of 10 leads to people being upset and not wanting to do that shit. That's why we go to work every day and we complain and we waste all this energy and we like, bruh, I don't want to do this shit. It's because of the fact that you're a part of a civilization that tried to replace something in nature with human activity. That's why. And with that being said, that works sometimes. Very rarely does it work. In a sustainable way, at least. Because human activity is something that's very temporary at this moment in time. So the food that we eat is not even meant to be sustained inside of our body. The food that we're eating is not even meant to be sustained inside of our body. It's not meant to keep our DNA code in a truly superior or in a truly alkaline or electric state, which is superior, or meaning superior just means extremely connected to your environment, which is the same as their environment pretty much. Then you will not survive in that environment. If you are not truly taking in the food of the environment you're in, then you will not be meant to survive in that environment. If you're not truly taking in the waters of the environment that you're in, then your body, your physical body, will not have the nutrients and the energy and electricity that it needs to survive in that specific environment. You evolve faster than any other being on the planet almost. No, I'm not going to say any other being on the planet. That's an exaggeration. But you evolve very fast. So with that being said, your DNA is storing every stage of your evolution in case it has to de-evolve and something that you process that you thought was good for your environment is wrong. So it de-evolves. But with that being said, we are at a point to where we have to consciously choose whether or not we want to continue de-evolving because we are fighting these subliminal mind warfare, in which literally they're convincing people who know the science of veganism and biochemistry and all this other shit that it's okay to eat fish. It's okay to be a pescatarian, or as long as you get it from a good source of good water and good waters and shit. I don't believe that shit. That's some bullshit if you ask me. A fish belongs to live just as much as I do. There's a saying that says you teach a man how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime, right? But that's a fucking... I'm not going to say that's a lie. You teach a man how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. I disagree. I would say that if you teach a man how to farm and plant and do agriculture, you can truly teach a man how to live a lifetime. Why isn't there a phrase for that shit, huh? Why isn't there a phrase for saying, instead of it being teach a man how to fish, you can teach him how to fish a lifetime? Instead of it saying that, you should say teach a man how to farm. Teach a man how to grow or, commit to being an agriculturalist. Why can't we make that a phrase? And the real answer to that is you already know why. Because of the mind warfare that's taking place. Because I see people online, Instagram people, YouTube people, in real life people who are literally at war with themselves and at war with me as a result, because they want to convince me and themselves that it's okay to go, like there was something wrong. There is something wrong with veganism, there's something wrong with being plant-based. It's harder. It's hard. It's so hard to do it. And these different, it's either that it's hard or it's pointless because everything is GMO and it's expensive and everything is non-organic, and they confuse you with the labels, and they'll say it doesn't work. You feel me? I feel my body feels unhealthy since I've turned vegan. My body feel weak and all this shit. And last but not least, you got the thing where everybody is like, oh, I don't want to be vegan because vegans are mean to other people. That's some other shit people are doing right now. Now, these are I can prove it. I will, matter of fact, after this video, stay here, because I'm gonna put proof videos after my video. So with that being said, these are 4 psychological psyops that are going around the country and around the world and around the internet right now to literally slow down the conversion of people from being meat eaters to plant-based on the planet. Now, their agenda was to have a more plant-based planet overall, but they did not want it to happen at this speed because they cannot control the rate of consciousness that everybody is going to be at once they are actually plant-based at this point in time. So, these 4 psychological psyops, the first one is, the first one and the fourth one especially, the one that is hard and the one that you don't want to be vegan because vegan people are mean. These are two these are 2 mind control techniques that they use. It's always childish things. You feel me? Like, if you ever talk to a person who want to work out and you say, do a push-up, do 1 push-up. You'd be like, oh, it's hard, I'm trying, it's hard, type shit. Now you know damn well anybody on the fucking planet with arms and fucking leg can do 1 push-up if they really tried their best and pushed themselves. Now, if you can't do 1 push-up without having a heart attack or asthma attack or some shit like that, you should know that you're literally on the brink of death already. You're on the brink of death. Because if your ass had to run from a meteorite, your ass had to run from anything that is chasing you, or if you had to be in a life or death situation, you will not survive. With that being said, the fourth one is the crazy people. That's for the people who talk about shit is hard. Like, being vegan is hard. Like, everything about this country and civilization that we live in is hard, bro. Everything about it. They give you the technology to make the shit easier on one level and field, but they make the actual physical reality you live in more complicated to actually navigate. But so they had to give you the technology to make it, to balance out them making your physical reality harder to navigate. Now, with that being said, there's people out there who are saying, oh yeah, I don't want to be vegan and plant-based, and trying to convince other people not to do that shit because they feel bad about themselves or whatever the reason may be. I don't know. They're trying to convince them because they say vegans are mean and that people who are plant-based treat other people like they ain't shit and they don't deserve to be alive. And I gotta be real, bro. I, as a vegan, as a plant-based person, I have never attacked anybody about being a meat eater. Unless, I'm gonna say this, either they came at me first, which 9 times out of 10, something happens like that. And that's what happened when I first started the journey of it. Everybody teases you and picks at you. But the first time you will pick at a person who eats meat or whatever like that, they get sensitive or whatever, they get very defensive and they start acting like they're proud to eat meat or whatever. But when they pick at you, you feel me, and trying to make fun of you and shit, and you do the same thing, they make it seem like, oh shit, this nigga's attacking me. Think about that. Now, over time, as a, you feel me, soldier, I've become conscious of the fact that, of the reason why they're doing that. So I don't become offended at it no more. I laugh at him. I laugh with him at me. Oh yeah, bro, you funny. You're right, bro. I'm funny. I eat nothing but rabbit food and leaves and shit like that, right? But this is what I realize is two things. The reason that animal-based people or people who eat meat or whatever you want to call that shit get so defensive about what they do is because the energy of the food and the nutrients, first of all, they're malnutrient. They have malnutrition problems. So with that being said, they can't control their emotions as well when it comes to cognitive dissonance. You feel me? As a person, I'm not saying like as a person who eats meat, but they just can't handle it emotions as well as a person who just isn't malnutritioned. You feel me? And then on top of that, you have to realize like that's like me with weed, bro. If a nigga come to me and say, hey, you smoke all that weed, but you talking about being vegan and shit like that, you talking about being plant-based and you talking about being healthy, that shit not healthy for you, then I might get defensive for a little while, but then eventually I'll be like, you know what, you're right. I'm very, very much battling this thing going on with me smoking and shit. When I say battling, I mean I consciously enjoy it, but I'm not trying to stop doing it. I'm trying to find alternative ways of doing it. Now, I can admit that to myself. You feel me? Because I know that's a form of cognitive dissonance. But I'm conscious of it and I can admit it to myself. An animal-based person will not be able to do this. And that's why they see plant-based people being confident in being plant-based. And when they joke at us and we joke back at them, they start getting offended and shit like that. It's simply because of the fact that, you feel me, they truly, in every way possible, cannot comprehend in their mind having to give up something that they love so much, that's been a part of their subconscious and their mind so much. You got to realize that people, when I say this is a mind war, your diet is all about your mind. Your diet is more about your mind than your workout routine. You feel me? Or how long you want to fuck a bitch, or how much you want to focus to get a project done. That's how important your mind is to your diet, because your mind is literally it's the initiative point or the initial point of your diet. What you crave is what you want, and what you want is in your mind. So the reason I'm saying this is you have to truly understand that people have been watching Burger King commercials and McDonald's commercials and Kroger's. When every time you go to the Kroger's and pick up the newspaper, they got the meat on the front. They got everything in the society has been basically set up to psychologically make you favor eating meat. So in order to defeat this, it would take you changing your whole mind about who you are as a person, which a lot of people are not able to do, and some people are not ready to do. So you should not let this affect you as a person who is health conscious, you feel me? And especially about your mind, because everything, like eating fish and being a pescatarian, I'm not saying there's nothing evil or wrong with that. But as a person on this planet, your goal should be to stop seeing yourself as superior to other beings. Meaning, don't see yourself as superior to a monkey. Don't see yourself as superior to an ant. Don't fear ants. Don't fear spiders. Don't see yourself as superior to a spider. Don't see yourself as superior to anything in nature. A tilapia fish, a genetically modified plant, or a regular plant. Don't see yourself as superior to this. Just know very, very well what way your body and your soul and your mind reacts to what you put into it. That's the most important part. Now, once you are aware that, you feel me, you're putting a conscious being into your body. See, this is another argument that people get into. They'll say, oh shit, you can't say you stop eating. plants has feelings too. And it's like, to an extent, you have completely misunderstood what feelings are. And you have completely misunderstood divine connection and syncretism and biochemistry. Just see, the way that you feel is the same way that everything in the universe feels. Yes, to understand this is to understand why your diet should be plant-based. The way you feel is the way that everything in the universe everything else in the universe feels. I'm not saying the way you feel right now, but your ability to have emotion and feelings is the way that every other being has that same ability to have emotions and feelings. Now, it is 100% proven that when a plant has pollen on it and a bee comes up and takes some of that pollen and eats it, or carries it on its body and takes it back to its hive and turns it to honey, that the plant very much enjoys this. The plant does not create a substance to keep certain bugs away unless it wants it to. Now, with that being said, would you go outside and touch you feel me? Okay, let me say this. Would you go outside and put your hand on a whole bunch of prickly plants and shit like that? No, because you know that the prickly plants don't want you to be touching them because they're fucking prickly, and prickly to you means ouch. These are simple codings that your universe has gave you. Now, you can manipulate these codings as much as you want to. But with that being said, you have to understand that you as a being in your mind cannot manipulate at all the fact that certain plants actually love being inside of your body, because when they're inside of your body, they promote the stamina and the life and the electricity of your body. If this plant did not want to be in your body, it would not promote these things. It would promote the opposite, which is obesity, disease, heart problems, spine problems, a misunderstanding in a very low consciousness. This is what the foods that we eat give us, because these foods do not want to be eaten by us. Neither are they even food in the first place, because they were never alive. And the beings that are alive, like meat and shit like that, if they wanted to be eaten by you, they would sacrifice themselves for you. No animal have I ever seen an animal sacrifice itself for me besides protection style type shit. I never seen an animal just wake up and say, "Oh shit, I can sense that my master is hungry," and just break his own neck or some shit, and then just fucking you just sit right there and eat it. Like, that's what niggas make it seem like. You feel me? Think about that shit. Like, what animal does that? I never seen an animal do that, but very, very opposite of that, I actually do see a very peaceful being lying in the middle of a field, collecting sunlight the same way I do, having the same relationship to the environment the same way I do. You feel me? Maintaining the nutrients in this body that I need, and so by me coming around this plant and putting my feet in the same dirt as this plant, exchanging energy with it that it needs. And when I put this being in my mouth and then make it a part of me, and I poop it out, when I poop it out or pee or simply breathe around it, this is giving this plant the nutrients it needs to actually survive the same way I'm surviving, by it giving me some of its energy. This is why it's important to be conscious of the fact that you're not superior to any being, so that you can actually know and have a genuine understanding of the relationship that you have to all beings that come into contact with you at all. If I have an allergic reaction to something and I don't know the word allergic, I still 9 times out of 10 would try to put that in my body. But if I know and I've been trained and I've been conscious, well, okay, let me say this. I would put 9 times out of 10, I would not be afraid to put that in my body again, especially if I need it. If I see everybody else around me eating the same thing, then I eat this shit and I'm allergic to it, then I'm going to try to eat that shit again. But since I know about the word allergic and everybody in this civilization knows about the word allergic and knows what the understanding of that means, then I would expect everybody in that civilization, after I have an allergic reaction to that, to question this food or to question why this food does not get along with me and my energy. Is it the person or the food? Now, everybody else in the culture going to be like, oh, shit, we eat this shit perfectly fine and we get along well. We're happy eating it. We never have any allergic reactions. None that you can sense because you've been living with it for so long. But every now and again, when nature comes along with a being whose DNA is able to protect it or stop you, your DNA has the ability to stop you from reacting to something poisonous to you in a way that you would allow it to keep happening. So it would send you a signal, whether it be, which is basically what an allergic reaction is, and there's chemicals in your body that are responsible for allergic reactions, and your body could either be trained or given a vaccination to cut off this chemical and cut off this reaction through your DNA, telling you that this is not supposed to be in your body, or it can react the same way it's supposed to. Now that you're conscious of that knowing, you can make better decisions, and you know that you're supposed to be plant-based. You know that you're not superior to any being on this planet. You know that whatever you put inside of your body, you're supposed to have a conscious and a beneficial, a co-beneficial, a codependent relationship, whatever you're putting that's inside of your diet. Now, and now that you know that, you should know that you should not have an animal in your diet through eating. You should only have an animal in your diet through information, through love and emotions and feelings, through breathing the same air in nature, that is, not in confined space, as these animals, as sharing the same ether as these animals. These are your brothers and sisters. You feel me? That's what these animals are. I would never eat my brother or sister consciously, at least. If a nigga handed me a veggie burger chopped up and they got the seasonings real right and I'm eating that shit, then halfway through the burger, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I killed your brother and put him in a sandwich. I'm not going to keep eating that shit. Believe it. Hell no, I'll probably cut my tongue off. Dead ass serious. And why is that? Because my brother is not meant to be in my diet the way that plants are. You feel me? My brother has the same equal relationship as the plant. I mean, with the plant that I do. And so does the animal. So these are our brothers. And the fucking plants are truly like our fucking angels. They're like our fucking blessings. They're like our fucking God. And we are the plants' gods. It's an equal relationship. It's supposed to be one, at least. But we haven't been very good, you feel me, co-gods. We haven't been very good people to be in a relationship with. It's time for us to stop making excuses and just do what's right in our hearts. And in our minds will actually start transforming to be better people, to be more efficient and sustainable and healthy people. Thank you for tuning in. That's that Soul Jive Talk. Check out the next information proof videos that I have to help you understand what I'm talking about on a deeper level.
I think many people are here who like fish. So how are fish being grown now? You know what they are fed with?
Formulated feed.
All the poultry farm waste which is being produced. The shit of chicken is all swept, collected and put into the ponds for growing fish. This is what they are eating. So of course it contains all of this as well. The shit of chicken will contain all of this and it is directly going into the fish. There is no difference in the chemicals used for fish culturing, for prawn culturing is unbelievable. You will not be able to believe the amount of chemicals they use in order to keep them alive in that artificial conditions. Earlier, I think fish were the fastest animals. So when Arjuna had to be tested on his archery skills, he was asked to hit the eye of a fish which was there in the pond. So if you could do that, you are a very great person. You have very good skills because the fish moves so quickly. But now you don't even need a fishing rope. That is how sluggish and slow they are because of how they are being fed and because of what they are eating. So this is, the people are, I know the next question coming is, okay, let's not have the farm fish, let's not have the farm prawns. What about that which comes from the river catch or from the ocean catch? Wild catch. So where does all our industrial waste go? Yes, it all goes into the ocean. So the most scary thing about eating fish from even the ocean is that all the lead and the mercury, the heavy metals which we are dumping into the ocean gets concentrated in the fish body. So they are heavy metals which are highly toxic to us, which will damage our kidney, damage the brain, damage the nerves, damage the bone marrow. All these are present in high concentrations in fish. Yes, there are some good elements in according to the dietary charts, there are some very nutritional elements in fish, but it is not worth to eat it for that.
Hey, it's Mike here, and today I just felt like I needed to respond to a very recent video called How Our World Would Change If Everyone Became Vegan by the channel Brightside, which has 10 million subscribers. It's one of those vegan-related videos that pretends to be neutral, but then when you actually take stock, it's like 8 points saying how horrible veganism is for every 1 positive point, not neutral. And coincidentally, there are some concepts in this video that I've been meaning to talk about for a while, so no better time. And yes, I do have a little bit of a nasal thing. I haven't been sick for like 3 years, so this is really weird for me, but I'm feeling good. So in the first minute I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is cute, a little world installing veganism. And then
an enormous amount of stray farm animals.
Really, it opens with one of the most irrational justifications to not be vegan ever. I even did a video, a mock trailer about this a long time ago.
When the whole world went vegan, the unthinkable happened. Farm animals overran the world.
We stopped eating animals, and all of a sudden, they were everywhere.
Only one man saw it coming. Dave, that guy from work.
We can't all go vegan. What would we do with all the animals? You know, I bet they would totally take over the world. Yeah.
The most important point here is that we artificially inseminate virtually all of the 50 to 70 billion land animals that we kill every single year, so we just have to stop doing that and the population will naturally go down. They go on to talk about how we could just release them into the wild and how many of our domesticated species can rewild, like cows, but some like chickens can't and they would just die, and releasing these animals would expose them to predators and, well...
Setting these animals free would mean dooming them to a slow and painful death from hunger, disease, and predator attacks.
Yep, being vegan equals animal suffering. Somehow it always does. Alternatively, they mentioned the option of reservations for farm animals, but somehow that just wouldn't work.
Unfortunately, doing this would be unbelievably costly, and it's not entirely clear how we could come up with these resources and money. There would probably be a lot of generous donations from the public and volunteer workers to take care of the animals, but it's hard to predict if that would be enough.
A biatch, please. 7 billion vegans, it would be enough. With a full world of vegans, we would have an animal sanctuary budget that would be out of control. So the obvious solution here appears to be phase down the population of animals by the stopping of breeding, and then putting the remaining animals, a sustainable amount, into animal sanctuaries. But what would that actually look like? I actually ran the numbers, rough numbers, of 2 situations. One in which slaughter continues at the normal rate, and another in which there is no slaughter at all during the transition. So here is scenario number 1 with the current pattern of slaughter, but a halting of breeding. So we start at 70 billion animals and population goes down very fast. It would be all the way down to 28 billion just by 6 weeks because of how fast the chickens are killed and how 50 billion of those are chickens. At 5.5 months, most of the billion pigs on Earth would be gone. By year 2, we are down to around 8 billion animals. Cattle are the only ones that live this long without being slaughtered, about 18 months. Otherwise, it's just breeding animals, 6 billion hens and about 260 million dairy cows. By year 3, it would just be the dairy cows and breeding pigs, and then whatever animals you allow to breed. And I wanted to put forth this scenario to demonstrate that virtually all animals that are born today will be dead within about 3 years. And that just shows that whatever transition vegans choose, the brutality against animals right now is worse. And to scenario number 2, entertaining the vegan transition overnight, saying there is no slaughter. Again, we start out with 70 billion animals. And at year 2, you'd only see a small amount of deaths, maybe just die off of unhealthy factory farmed animals. By 3rd year, some of the older breeding animals would start to die off. Then going to year 4 and 5, we'll see a sort of ramp down of natural deaths until we reach year 7, which is about how long chickens tend to live, which would get us all the way down to about 15 billion, because again, 50 billion of the 70 billion animals we have are chickens. So that would be a major drop off. Moving on to year 11, we'll see a drop-off in pigs. That's when they would die naturally, and then goats and sheep at 13 years. And then 17 to 20 years is when the cows would be dying naturally. And at this point, as a society, you could just decide what a sustainable population of animals would be and go with that. Perhaps the biggest challenge of keeping that many animals alive for the first few years is that in a vegan world, the conditions that they're currently in would be so unacceptable that you would have to expand their living quarters. A lot of them are just cramped into warehouses and things like that. So you'd have to fix that. In terms of money to support all of those, it would be quite a bit of money. But again, we aren't going to see this change overnight. It's more likely going to be a lower in demand for these animal products, which means less breeding and a few of those cycles down until we get a very low animal population. That's probably how it would happen. By the way, did anybody else notice the satanic graphic at 1 minute and 54 seconds? Conspiracy theorists, let me know your thoughts down below. Next time you see a vegan, you will subconsciously be triggered to say, how do you know if somebody's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Oh wait, everybody already says that.
Severe economic problems. It's very likely that not long after the worldwide transition to veganism, the economies of some countries would simply collapse.
Yeah, this is definitely a neutral video.
The inhabitants of countries like Burundi, Eritrea, and Zambia don't even have time to think about going vegan. The lack of food and major famine leaves them happy with just about anything to eat.
Yeah, I've heard this one a few times. People are like, by telling people to go vegan, you're essentially spitting in the face of subsistence farmers in rural Africa. Like, you might as well go to one of those sketch places in Africa where you pay to take a bazooka and shoot a poor person, because that's how bad you are, vegans. In all seriousness, there is a good portion of the world that makes their money off raising and killing animals, and there are a lot of solutions for this. You know, people often point to the landscape, saying that there are places where it's semi-arid and these people can only graze animals. Recognizing that this is a problem, you could have global programs that support desertification reversal techniques like they've used in China and elsewhere.
According to our calculation, there are over 70 kinds of crops growing here.
Crops like corn, tomatoes, sorghum, and sunflowers, transforming more than 200 hectares of sand dunes into an oasis, all within 6 months.
You could also have programs that support the growth of really low water crops, which do exist, or even supporting hydroponics, things like that. But what really puts that problem in perspective is that from the FAO, we feed up to half of the world's grain to livestock. That means that we'd be freeing up that much food. We'd have so much extra food, we'd have enough excess grain in the US alone to feed every single hungry person on Earth if we could get it to them. And I love this next point.
This huge agricultural transition might be less painful if it were to happen gradually and according to a carefully thought out plan. But who knows how long that would take?
But that would never work. Veganism would suck. And while we are talking about economic issues, we would save a ton of money on healthcare expenditures. I have an entire video about this where I go into some of the numbers, and I will link that below. But moving on.
Environmental changes.
I was like, there's no way they can make this into an anti-vegan segment.
Methane emissions into the atmosphere will drop as well.
Yes, less methane. Great.
The land that we use to graze livestock or grow food for them will no longer be occupied.
Yeah, way more land. Also great.
Then we can return that to Mother Nature and plant trees in this freed up space. But it's not likely to go down like that.
And yes, they found a way to make an anti-vegan point out of this.
And here, it should be noted that growing these crops would be pretty much impossible without the use of cruel measures against some animals. How else are we supposed to protect our food against rodents?
Therefore, the vegan earth would not be able to grow its own food and all the vegans would die. Haha, F you vegans. I mean, I'm neutral. This is where the definition of veganism pops in from the Vegan Society, that you're trying to reduce the amount of harm to animals as much as is practically possible. You can't pick every single worm out of the soil, but it's going to be a heck of a lot better for the animals. You could also use veganic farming methods and utilize natural predation, just restore the ecosystem and the food chain, and that's what many people are doing now.
Not to mention, when using land for agriculture, people often destroy the natural habitat of many animals.
Okay, looky here. From this study, vegans require nearly 1/8 the total land to supply their food needs. That means that you would be freeing up like 85% of our agricultural land, and you could give that back to animals. We would also be stopping, 70 to 80% of the Amazon destruction that occurs, which is driven by animal agriculture, and we would be ceasing the leading driver of species extinction on planet Earth, which is animal agriculture. I think animals are going to be doing better in this vegan world. And while we're going for it, furthermore, we would free up 1/3 of humanity's fresh water. We would also eliminate likely the majority of the dead zones because they're driven by animal agriculture as well. And we would stop one of the leading, if not the leading emitter of greenhouse gases, again, animal agriculture. So we'd be looking pretty good.
Personal health changes.
They do rattle off some vegan health benefits. Great. I'm so proud of you. But if vegans have an unbalanced diet,
vegans may develop a deficiency of vital substances like protein.
If anybody has an unbalanced diet, and I can't believe they brought up protein. I mean, from this study, vegans have higher levels of free blood protein than omnivores. Bright side, is this a 70s? I don't think so. And in terms of B12 for vegans, those deficiencies appear to be going down from a newer study, not statistically significant between vegans and omnivores in terms of deficiency. And we could just put it in the water. It's in untreated water anyway. And in terms of overall health, the reality is from the epidemiology that we see about 15% lower mortality among vegans. We see 15% lower cancer, 78% lower total risk of diabetes, and so on. It'd be pretty great.
As you can see, a vegan lifestyle doesn't necessarily guarantee you'll age slower than if you were to eat meat on occasion.
Now this part was really not cool. Not only was it completely anecdotal, it was just really insensitive. Look how old this one vegan lady looks. Yeah, I'm an asshole. How about this lady though? She eats steak. Wouldn't you rather be her, ladies? That's why you don't go vegan. You should Google Annette Larkins. Now for what is probably the biggest chunk of BS in the entire video.
It's important to note that some people are simply unable to exclusively consume plant-based products because of allergies to soy, nuts, wheat, and other foods that make up a vegan diet.
No, there are no allergies that prevent people from going vegan. That is just not the case. There is that one really rare birth defect where people pee out too much carnitine, like in the case of this one kid who was hospitalized even when he was eating meat, and guess what? He just took carnitine supplements and he was totally fine. There are a lot of vegans that don't eat soy for whatever reason, and a lot that don't eat wheat, and they do just fine. There are so many plants on planet Earth, and y'all just keep eating the same 3 farm animals. Of course, they spotlight single cases of dietary child abuse through a vegan diet.
A severely malnourished 14-month-old vegan baby that only weighed as much as a 3-month-old was brought into a hospital in Italy by his concerned grandparents.
That happens all the time on a standard diet, but you're going to hear about it if it's on a vegan diet. But from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the largest organization of nutritional professionals in the world, from their position on vegetarian diets, a well-planned vegan diet is suitable for all stages of life, including babies.
A growing body needs sufficient amounts of protein and other nutrients for proper development, and parents should first take care of this before projecting certain views onto their children.
Yes, every parent should be feeding their child a balanced diet. But how about projecting this view, huh? How about that bacon view right there? How about how virtually all children in North America by the age of 3 have fatty streaks on their aorta? How about that view?
Vegan pets. Some people are feeding their dogs exclusively vegan food. Cats, however, are predators that need meat or at least animal products. So forcing pets to eat vegan food can very well be regarded as animal cruelty.
If the entire world went vegan, we have a couple of solutions to feed animals like cats. First of all, those animal sanctuaries, they will have quite a few natural deaths from animals, and you could simply feed those animal corpses to the cats. It's gross. Meat is gross. Also, the company Just, you may be familiar with the Just Mayo, claims that they will be able to come out with cost-competitive, lab-grown, cultured meat, whatever you want to call it, by the end of the year. So we could definitely utilize that to feed these animals. They then go and present Virginia Tech's projections for a vegan U.S.
Food production in the country would increase, but that food would likely be short of calcium, vitamin A, and vitamin B12.
Which include gems like how we wouldn't have enough vitamin A. Have you heard of carrots? Carrots. Carrots too technical for you? I don't know. Here's another recent projection from Harvard. 1/3 of all deaths are from meat. So in the end, again, it was like 8 shots fired at veganism for every single positive point. And all of those were directly followed up by a rebuttal of some sort. A vegan diet can help with certain diseases if you don't die of a protein deficiency first. A vegan diet is good for the environment, but those vegans couldn't even feed themselves because combines kill squirrels, am I right? So I just want to emphasize that none of the points in this hypothetical video are anywhere near a justification to not be vegan where you live right now. Finally, if the world did go vegan, it would definitely happen over several years. We could easily ramp down the animal population and we could put them in sanctuaries, which would be massively supported. Most importantly, their video fails to recognize the amazing, massive scope of the benefits of the world going vegan. How about not slaughtering and horribly raising 70 billion animals per year? And there would be so many environmental benefits, it would be out of control, and we'd be smashing our chronic diseases and even reversing some diseases, which I talk about a lot in my other videos. So that's it. I would have to say bright side. This time you were just a little bit on the dull side. Oh. Ew. So let me know down below. Am I being maybe a little too hard on bright side? Were they actually more neutral than I thought? It was just my vegan goggles on, seeing everything as an attack on veganism. Also, let me know if you have any suggestions for upcoming videos. And that's it. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
Breaking news, animals have now taken over 45% of the world's ice-free land.
Seriously? They already occupy 45% of our ice-free land. Ignore those plot holes. In a fight to outrun their past. Humans must survive the farm animal apocalypse.
Did you know that 2.7 trillion animals are pulled from the oceans each year? To feed the demand for 90 million tons of fish, enormous fish nets are used. But for every single pound of fish caught, there's up to 5 pounds of untargeted species also trapped, such as dolphins, sharks, turtles, etc. It's estimated that our oceans could be fishless by 2048. But putting all the environmental aspects aside, consuming such large amounts of fish is also massively putting our health at risk. This is largely due to the fact that our oceans are highly contaminated with industrial carcinogens such as PCBs, mercury, DDT, PBDEs, dioxins and other flame retardant chemicals. These industrial carcinogens are found in extremely high levels in fish and can have devastating effects on our health. Production of many of these chemicals are now restricted. However, PCBs, for example, started to be phased out in the 1970s because of their environmental hazards. But before that, some 1.4 million tons had been created, and alarmingly, they do not naturally degrade. Let's hear now from Dr. Michael Greger as he discusses more about the dangers of eating fish.
Now, although the levels of dioxins and PCBs are in decline, there is one dietary source that still remains a threat, and that is fish. Everything eventually washes down into the sea. Here's the tolerable upper daily limit according to the World Health Organization, 1/1,000,000th of a gram. And as you can see, just eating dairy and you're already skirting the max, but at any level of fish intake, and you are way over the top. Now, everyone agrees that these long-chain omega-3, these marine fatty acids like DHA found in fish flesh are healthy. But given the industrial contaminants in fish, as we see in food and chemical toxicology, if people actually get these long-chain omega-3 fatty acids from fish, the majority of people would exceed these safety guidelines for these dioxins and dioxin-like substances. And interestingly, just like in fish, farmed fish, these factory farmed fish, have significantly higher levels. In fact, for every chemical studied, farmed fish have more DDT, more of these other banned pesticides, 10 times more PCBs, 10 times more dioxins than wild-caught fish. Fish consumption provides nutrients, but all fish also contains methylmercury, this known neurotoxin. And mercury is a cardiac toxin as well, so the DHA, these long-chain omega-3 fatty acids in fish flesh, is decreasing your risk of heart attack. The mercury in that very same fish is increasing your risk of having a heart attack. Once upon a time, routine childhood vaccinations contained a mercury-containing preservative called thimerosal. Well, the amount of mercury that goes into one's body in a single serving of canned tuna, which is about half a can, the amount of mercury found in a half a can of tuna is equivalent to getting injected with how many thimerosal-containing vaccines? 100. 100 vaccines for every single serving of tuna. Right? By getting our omega-3s from plant sources, we can get all the benefits without the rest, all the benefits without the hundreds of thousands of years of brain damage for our children. These omega-3 fatty acids, where do you think the fish get it from? They get it from plants, and we can too. These tiny little plants called golden algae. Right? This is what it looks like. It's grown organically, so no heavy metals, industrial toxins. It's grown sustainably, so we are not contributing to the extinction of our ocean wildlife. It's grown hygienically. The studies have found that the algae-based DHA is 100% bioequivalent to that's found in fish flesh. So I recommend everybody take 250 to 300 milligrams of microalgae-based DHA every day. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone, right? Because certainly fish eaters aren't getting enough, and if they did, then they would be getting way too many toxins.
Just to finish, we've all heard of the dangers of having amalgam fillings put in our teeth because they contain mercury and release a certain amount every day. However, eating just a single can of tuna a week is the equivalent to living with 29 mercury-containing fillings. And remember, we only have 32 teeth. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below and subscribe for more upcoming videos. If you want to see what I'm eating, follow me on Instagram at 801010 in London.